This is probably my biggest argument against socialism and communism right here. It's the moral argument. It's the fact that people suck. We're wicked creatures. We're sinful creatures. And to think that a single entity will be morally sound in the long run to maintain a system that's supposed to be for all has proven throughout history to be false. Okay, you've seen that with the Soviet Union. You've seen that with Mao's China. You've seen that with Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea. I mean, it just keeps going and going. But, you know, the Democrat Socialists are still trying to implement those kinds of legislations, communist legislation, and institute that ideology all over again in hopes that they could do it better. But once again, people suck, right? So before we get into this video here, make sure you like, subscribe. I'm Noel. This is God in Politics. Let's get started.
Is your life being wrecked by the super rich?
The super rich. Who are they and what are they doing to us?
What are they doing to us? Whatever it is, people say that just the fact that the rich have so much is itself immoral.
Immoral and wrong that the top 1/10% in this country own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
Is that a moral outcome in and of itself?
It's not. It's not. And
they want to condemn the people that actually have moved civilization forward.
Yaron Brook of the Ayn Rand Institute's annoyed that today's democratic socialists say rich people got rich by taking money from others. In fact, they
actually improved the standard of living for everybody on the planet.
How is that possible? How could it improve everyone's living standard? Isn't there a fixed amount of money in the world, so when rich people grab a lot?
Now, I want you to pay attention to this right here, because he's going to give you a lesson, a basic lesson in economics, which immediately shows you why communism and socialism ideals do not work. The rich are not stealing your money. They're exchanging value for value. That's what they're doing. Let's continue.
Isn't there a fixed amount of money in the world, so when rich people grab a lot, there's less for everyone else? No, because wealth can be created.
We have basically made about $2 a day for 100,000 years. In other words, we could eat what we farmed, and that was it. And then something amazing happened about 250 years ago.
A few countries tried capitalism. For the first time, people were allowed to profit from private property. That changed everything. Division of labor let people produce more with less, and then they traded to get even more. Wealth increased with every innovation.
Cargo transported by ship used to be stored in barrels, in sacks, in wooden crates, and offloaded by hand.
Economist Don Boudreau points out that enormous wealth was even created by the invention of the shipping container.
With it came a wave of specialized technology that dramatically increased the productivity of shipping. Workers today are superhuman compared to their brethren of yesteryear. We went from carrying bags on our backs to lifting the equivalent of 2 school buses with mere flicks of our wrists.
Most of this innovation began just 250 years ago.
250 years ago, we suddenly discovered the value of individual freedom. We suddenly discovered the value of leaving individuals free to think, to innovate, to produce without asking for permission, without getting the state to sign off on it. And we call that the Industrial Revolution.
Industrialists, the people who owned the factories, employed hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. And they made enormous profits.
And how does that benefit your fellow man?
And ever since, politicians have complained about those profits. In Ayn Rand's novel, Atlas Shrugged, state officials demand that industrialists explain how their getting rich helped others.
I do not owe you an answer, but I could tell you in 100 ways.
Let's touch on what he just said there. He said ever since capitalism took hold, politicians were complaining that corporations were making too much money. The truth is that wasn't their argument. What they were really saying is these corporations are taking money that we should be taking, because that's what happened before capitalism. Before capitalism, the government was in charge of everything across the world. And you would have to approach the government and pay the government and cooperate with the government to do anything, which slowed innovation to a screeching halt, which is why it took thousands of years to get to this point. So the bottom line is they just want their money back. They don't actually care about you. They just don't want the corporations having money. But what you're about to learn here is that capitalism doesn't just make corporations rich. It raises the quality of living of everybody on this planet. Let's continue.
Thousands of jobs, billions in revenue, fueling our economy despite your efforts.
Hank Rearden was right. capitalism created new wealth.
We got much, much, much richer. And it's hard to imagine how much richer we got. Of electricity, of running water, the things we all take for granted today, but we didn't have 150 years ago. And yes, some people complain about inequality, but everybody got richer. Even the poor got richer.
In the past several hundred years, we've gone from a society where people hoped to get jobs that required long hours of hard manual labor to one where almost everyone has what they need to live, and more people have leisure time to do things like watch movies.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Let's think about that for a second. Think about all the things you take for granted. You were just born into. You don't even think about it. Running water, electricity, the internet, all these things happened because of capitalists, because of people wanting to invent new things, make lives more convenient, and profit from it. All these things that didn't exist before capitalism. And then let's also touch on social programs. The social programs which help lift up the poor. Those programs, guess what they're funded by? Capitalism. That's right. In a communist socialist society, the poor get poorer because there's no money coming in to do anything. Whereas in a capitalist society, the economy's flowing. There's a free market. People are inventing things, creating new systems, making lives more convenient, inventing cheaper products. Companies are competing to bring you the best product that you will exchange money for. None of that happens in the socialist communist system, and none of that money would be coming into that system. And because of capitalism, the government has all this extra money to fund social programs, something that a lot of people don't think about.
I mentioned Harry Potter because Brooke bought lots of Harry Potter books, but he says he's not poorer for it.
J.K. Rowling became a billionaire, and I got poorer by thousands of dollars. And yet, nobody really thinks of themselves as poorer for having read Harry Potter. It made my kids happy. How much is that worth? So I'm actually better off for having spent those many dollars on those books.
Under capitalism, that applies to every transaction because capitalism, unlike socialism, is voluntary.
Like a pretzel.
We see this every time we buy something. The seller's there for his own self-interest, and so am I. So why do we both say, thank you?
Thank you.
Because he wanted the dollar more than he wanted the pretzel. I wanted the pretzel more than the dollar. The transaction doesn't happen unless both of us think we win. And that way, voluntary transactions create wealth.
Thank you.
Thank you. Since the Industrial Revolution,
we have more than doubled our life expectancy. We have dramatically increased the quality of our life, and we are wealthier than anybody could have imagined.
Made possible by private property and capitalism, which people hate.
People don't like it because, you know, it takes real responsibility over your own life to achieve something. And unfortunately, our educational system has taught us that since we don't sacrifice enough, because we're basically too self-interested to sacrifice enough, the state must now intervene and force us to sacrifice for our fellow man.
And that belief that sacrificing for others is more moral is what gives socialism strength.
It's not so tough to share your stuff.
Every priest, every philosopher, every mother has taught us that to be selfless is good. Selfless is good. No mother actually means that.
So this is the moral argument I was talking about at the beginning of the video, right? Hey, share your stuff. That's a good thing, right? It is if you choose to. Do you understand? If you choose to. When the government is forcing you to, that's no longer sharing, that's thievery. That's the government forcing you to give up some of your hard-earned money or property for people who didn't work for it, who didn't earn it. That's not morally sound, okay? Now, if you choose to give, that's a good thing. Should people be more encouraged to give? Sure. Should there be more churches out there doing more for the community? Sure. That's up to the churches. That's up to charities and organizations, as long as they don't get corrupted, which, you know how that goes. But my point stands. It's not morally sound to forcibly take people's money and property away to distribute it to other people. That's not the way you do this.
They tell you that because they think that's what nobility is. But the people who do for others are not more moral because they're wasting the one life that they have.
Lots of us see morality as helping other people.
If your house burned down, neighbors in America have always helped their neighbors.
What?
Nice
I thought you
people.
objectivists didn't approve of that.
Ayn Rand was never against charity. What she said was that was not the major virtue in life. and that you should voluntarily have a choice about who you help and who you don't. The key is that somebody else's need is not a moral claim against your life. Your life is yours.
Today's socialists say self-absorbed Americans won't help the poor and the sick. That's why government must force everyone to give. Otherwise, the weak and the poor will suffer and die.
But indeed, the weak and the poor under capitalism has done better than in any other system. It's a fantastic system that is fundamentally moral because it allows individuals to pursue their own happiness. Your pursuit of your own well-being, which is a virtue in and of itself, also helps the world be a better world.
I mean, it's simple. The bottom line is that socialism and communism are morally bankrupt. They forcibly take from people who have to give to people who don't. Forcibly. That's not the way this is supposed to work. People are supposed to give of their own free will. And just like free will works very well in capitalism, you got to trust people to do that. Point blank is that capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system. It's been proven in the last 250 years. So, with that said, I'm Noel. This is God in Politics. Christ is King. I love you guys. I'm out.